You're listening to AI PRISM from Seoul Economic Daily.
It's Thursday, May 28th. Here's what investors are watching in Korea today. The KOSDAQ closed at 8,228.70, up 2.25%, another all-time high. At one point intraday, it touched 8,457. A market buy sidecar, Korea's circuit breaker equivalent that pauses program buying for 5 minutes when futures surge too fast, triggered just 6 minutes after the open. It was the 10th such event of 2026, but the headline number hides a stark divergence. Of 920 KOSDAQ stocks, 826 fell today. Only 77 rose. Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix account for more than 50% of total KOSDAQ market capitalization, and they were responsible for virtually all of today's index gain. 4 stories explain what's actually happening in the market right now. First, margin loans hit a new record. As of May 26th, total margin loan balances across Korean brokerages stood at 36.25 trillion won, about $24.2 billion US dollars. That's up 33% from the same period 1 year ago. Brokerages are responding. Mirai Asset Securities restricted new margin lending on 5 securities starting today, including the KOSDAQ semiconductor ETF, which returned 35% in the past month alone. NH Investment Securities capped new margin lending for any account already holding more than 1 billion won, roughly $667,000 in outstanding margin balance. This is private sector credit tightening, driven by overheating concerns rather than regulatory mandate. Second, pension funds are selling KOSDAQ, despite a policy directive telling them to buy. Korean pension funds were net sellers of 246.9 billion won, about $164 million US dollars, in KOSDAQ year-to-date through today. They sold even more in KOSDAQ's premium blue-chip segment, 504.6 billion won net sold. The government revised pension fund evaluation benchmarks in January 2026 to include a 5% KOSDAQ weighting, hoping to nudge institutional money into the secondary market. It hasn't worked. Pension funds are mechanically selling domestic equities across the board because KOSDAQ gains have pushed their domestic stock allocation above internal limits. A financial regulator official told Seoul Economic Daily that Korean pension funds are excessively conservative in domestic equity investment compared to global peers, and that the equity holding limit needs to be raised. On the same day, KOSDAQ hit a record. KOSDAQ fell 3.36% to 1,133. The two-market divergence is widening. Third, a new bond equity hybrid ETF is coming. Hanwha Asset Management will list the Hyundai Motor and Kia Bond Hybrid 50 ETF on June 9th. The first product in Korea to combine Hyundai Motor Group equities with bonds in a retirement account-eligible structure. The composition: Hyundai Motor 25%, Kia 25%, bonds 50%. Total expense ratio 0.10%. The precedent for this structure is strong. KB Asset Management's Samsung SK Hynix Bond Hybrid ETF attracted 2.7 trillion won, about $1.8 billion US dollars, within 3 months of launch. Korean retirement accounts require 30% minimum safe asset allocation. Bond hybrid ETFs with less than 50% equity qualify as safe assets, bypassing that cap entirely. Woori Asset Management also plans a Samsung Hyundai Motor Bond Hybrid listing on June 2nd. Fourth, a Hanwha investment analyst argues the crypto market has fundamentally changed. Choi Yoon-young, head of digital asset research at Hanwha Investment and Securities, told Seoul Economic Daily that the cryptocurrency market's biggest structural shift is institutionalization, driven by US spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF approvals and sustained institutional inflows. Her key conclusion: the era of all cryptocurrencies rising together in halving cycle bull markets is over. Bitcoin will increasingly dominate, while altcoin performance becomes selective. She also flagged real-world asset tokenization, putting government bonds and money market funds on blockchain infrastructure as the next major structural change in digital finance, likely to materialize for investors within 2 to 3 years. 3 things to watch. June 2nd, Worry Bond Hybrid ETF listing. June 9th, Hana Hyundai Kia Bond Hybrid launch and its first week inflows. And the weekly margin loan balance. If it keeps rising past 36 trillion won, despite brokerage tightening, that's a systemic risk escalation worth monitoring. That's today's AI PRISM, Markets Daily. This episode was produced with AI assistance based on Seoul Economic Daily reporting and reviewed by a human editor. AI PRISM is a WAN IFRA award-winning series. We'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI PRISM from Seoul Economic Daily.